So Wendy, I think what I'd like to jump in with, and I'll let you take the lead on this initially, is I think there's a lot of women out there that are frustrated because they have the idea that there's a lot of non-committal men out there. Okay, so that's perception. First of all, I want to get your take on this. Is that perception or is it a reality? And then if it's a reality, what are some of the good reasons on why it takes men longer to commit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a different point of view more than it is anything else. We actually just are seeing dating and courtship and commitment in two very different ways. And so I want to talk about how men see it versus how women see it, because one of the very first and most frustrating things that we see in dating is especially if we go online, is we see, oh, those men, they're just all out for fun. They're talking about fun in their profile. They're keeping it short. They're keeping it light. He doesn't talk about wanting a partner or a wife. And I present with the whole partner package, so he knows what I'm really up to. And what's really going on there is there's just two very different mismatches in dating styles. And ladies, I think the men have it right. So what men do that is so different than us is they don't present with the whole partner package up front and what a great husband and provider and all the rest that they would be. They talk about fun because they understand that all their job is to get in front of you and find out in anywhere from 10 minutes to a couple hours if he's attracted, if you're interesting, if you're interested, and if there's a vibe. And so they are understanding that dating is one baby step at a time. First, let's get her out to coffee or a drink and find out if we even like each other. Because usually, and as you know, if you've done any dating at all, it can be over in 2 seconds. No chemistry, none. Mm-hmm. So the very first step is, do I like this person? Where we will carry out every bit of how wonderful we are as a partner and our huge laundry list of everything he must be in a partner. And it's like leading with the end game in mind. It's like talking about a prenup on a first date. It's just too soon. It's too soon to start talking about the million ways that you are nurturing and how you're dying to sit in front of the fireplace with him and hold his hand and carry on into the sunset when you don't even know his middle name.
Yeah, I think this is so true, and I'm really glad you shared that. I also think there's a couple other things maybe we can add to this, and that is that I think good men, and when I say good men, I mean men that are dealing with you in good faith and who are, sincere in whatever it is they're doing in terms of dating. They're honestly exploring. I think that most of those men are aware that if they become your boyfriend or they become your partner or they become your husband, that there are certain obligations or agreements that they're entering into, in so making that commitment, in that, taking the relationship to that next level. And I think these men that really do have integrity about this, they don't want to write checks that are going to bounce. They don't want to write emotional checks or commitment checks that won't bounce. And so I think a lot of these men really think about these things and, want to have that time to dance with you, to get to know you, to explore something before they make a commitment that they may not be able to keep. I just think that's really significant. I know, like with my own husband, I felt like he kind of took his time in kind of getting to know me and kind of moving things to that next level. Sometimes it felt like a little bit like we were dragging to me, but I know now, in knowing him, that was because he was taking whatever commitment he was making to me very seriously. I mean, that was important to him, that he was all in, ready to go before we moved things to kind of that next level. Do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I do. And I think that all women can relate to this piece, that we are very different when we are in our flow versus and going with the flow than when we're in our masculine mode, or we'll just call it our CEO mode. When you have your CEO hat on or your director hat on and you're accountable, when you're accountable in the world, you're looking at since I'm accountable for this, what am I committing to? How accountable, if I'm going to sign up for this gig, this job, this volunteer thing, if I'm going to be accountable, I need to look at all the accountabilities and make sure I'm 100% in. Right? And that's what men are doing, because masculine energy is accountability. And we can see that when we're in our own masculine. When we're in the flow, it's like, oh, this feels so good. Let's go with it. And we'll sort out the details later. CEO mode, masculine mode is going to make sure they're going to look at the accountability. What am I committing to? Do I have the capacity to? And do I want to with this person? Now, another thing that they're going to look at is they're going to commit to the whole person. Most men, not all men, but most men are going to commit to the whole person. So he's going to take longer to commit than we do, because oftentimes we'll say yes. And then if we don't like something, we'll try and figure out how we're going to change it. Like the way he dresses or the way he chooses food or something. We'll say yes, and we'll get hard at work to changing the thing or the things that we don't like, right? And men don't usually do this. They're going to look at the whole package and think, can I commit to this? Can I commit to her? Can I commit to the fact that she laughs kind of loud? Can I commit to the fact that she can be a little biting when she hasn't eaten? Can I do that? Can I navigate that? And instead of trying to change us. So they're looking at the whole package. And once they do commit, they've committed to all of her, to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit different.
Yeah, that is so true. And I think that is a distinct difference. And actually, it's really important that you brought that out, because I think it's really important for us as women to remember that the men that we meet, they are who they are, and we don't need to look at them as fixer-upper projects. So often for women, we look at men as kind of fixer-upper projects, and for good reason. Most of them don't really like feeling like a fixer-upper project. They resent it. They don't like it. And it's really important that you remember what you see is what you get with a man. I mean, you don't want to go into something thinking that you're going to change him, because it's going to be a frustration for you, and it's not going to feel good to him. He's not going to like it. He's probably going to really push back. So one other thing about this before we move on is that in the Man Panel series, Mark Rosenfeld, who I interviewed, shared another idea around this, which is that relationships are important to men. However, there is a difference typically in how many of us were brought up. And that was that for many women, like getting to that wedding day was like taught to us as the big highlight of our lives. You know, that was like the end all be all of our existence for so many of us. That was like, you know, the Cinderella go off with the handsome prince kind of idea. Whereas so many little boys were brought up with the idea of go out and explore the world, conquer the world, make your way in the world, have success in a career, et cetera, then maybe think about settling down, getting married, and that sort of thing. So there's a little bit of a difference in that respect too. And I think a lot of men feel like they need to be there. They need to have succeeded to a certain level in their careers and that sort of thing to kind of feel like they're worthy, ready, able to provide whatever it is they have been taught or think that they're supposed to provide, even with a woman that doesn't necessarily need that from an economic standpoint.
Can I say something about that, about the research that I've done over the years?
Yes, please.
Okay, good. So I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of men over 16 years on this very topic about commitment. And what I found, and I'm just going to generalize like crazy here, but what I found is that when they marry young, when they marry in their teens, early 20s, what they're marrying for is adventure. It's another fun adventure. Yay, it's a fun thing to do. Okay, and love, but adventure. Like the driving force is adventure. When they marry in their 20s, 30s, when they're in the start and or middle of their career, is they, and this is the bulk of men, right? That they actually want to build a life with a partner. And that makes sense to us, right? They want to build a life with a partner. They want someone sharing in the load and creating family and dynasty and all that good jazz, right? And then there are a smaller percentage of men that do it a different way. And it's very similar to what Michelle was just talking about. In fact, it is what Michelle was just talking about. But these men are very misunderstood. And how they approach it is, I am going to build my kingdom. And once it's built, once I've got some facility in my career, I got some money happening, or maybe I'm building and buying the house. Once I have built my kingdom, then I will go find my queen and move her in. And oftentimes we women will look at that guy and go, he's 48, never been married. What a player. No, he's almost ready to wife hunt and have that happen. And so we'll pass by the 52-year-old who's never been married because we're afraid that he is that way for a good reason. And I say investigate.